Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video, and we are going to get the opportunity to watch the best teams clash from North America and Europe at Gamescom Live. I am super excited and grateful to get the opportunity to cast this event once again, and the purpose of today's video is to outline the specializations, the likelihood that I think we will see them in the tournament, and ultimately the likelihood that I think we will see them win the entire thing. Now, this tournament is a lot different than any of the previous ones. It's very close to the release of a patch. A lot of the players are playing in the first week, second week of the patch. They are not fully geared. They're not fully itemized, which I do believe in a tournament setting they will be. So a lot of this could suddenly and dramatically shift moving forward. So it's going to be a very exciting tournament. I don't think it's going to be one of those tournaments where every team has practiced the same comp and they're just running at each other trying to play only one comp. I think there's going to be a lot of like, oh, hey, that worked for that team. Let's try and steal that. And then, oh, that worked for this. Let's try and swap to this. So the live adaptations are going to be very exciting. I'm just going to hone in on some specializations that I think are likely going to be some starting outliers. But if they don't end up working, we may likely see shifts moving from there. Now, Warlock, just as a class, I'm not anticipating a lot. I think if we are going to see Warlock, it is likely going to be from Mercy on Echo, which maybe they will need him, mostly because Mage is getting giga kicked in the butt at the moment as far as nerfs. So there could be some opportunities, but I would really only imagine it's going to be him. So Lontar's team with Mercy, keep an eye on it, but they do also have Zepai, of course, on Elemental Shaman, and I think that is probably more so going to be kind of the lock-in. So for me, I think Affliction might have some opportunities there, at least with Mercy. Same thing with Demonology. Could be some slight odds. I will say I think Destro is probably the least. I think that there's a lot of teams in this tournament that actually have Death Knights, and even despite the nerfs, a lot of teams are dedicating a lot of time to it. Between Kuroto and Mez, I think that they're going to be likely playing at least some. Maybe they'll shift off if it doesn't work, but I feel like it's probably going to work for them at the moment. And because of that, with the melee cleaves in the tournament with only 4 teams, some elemental shamans making it difficult for these guys to get casts off, I think it's a little bit less likely, but Mercy could pull it out, just as a last ditch effort, maybe if things aren't working otherwise. Arcane Mage, I think, is likely what we will see from Raikou, but it is getting nerfed multiple times. But Raikou is kind of the main mage for a long time. So if Arcane RMP, I don't want to count out RMP, let alone Echo RMP, but it might not work. It might not work. Fire, I think, is probably pretty unlikely. I would say that it's probably, if for some reason Arcane doesn't work, I don't know why you would switch Fire, because it's just going to be squishier and easier to take out would be my best estimation. And it's also getting nerfed quite heavily. So I feel like Fire is probably pretty low here. Frost is also possibly going to be low. Now, Raikou might pick out of comfort Frost, but if it doesn't work, then this is where Echo, everybody expects Echo to win the tournament, right? But Mage is in this weird spot. It's getting giga nerfed. A lot of other casters are viable at the moment, so it might not work for them. So this is the first time that Frost is actually getting pretty significantly low ranking on a tournament tier list. I would normally always put this on S, auto win, auto lock-in, but I don't think that's the case here. Balanced Druid, I do think has some solid potential to be seen here, especially from a player named Samayam on Sidhu's team. Due to the fact that Trill's not there, I think that Mage is pretty inaccessible for him, and probably is to their benefit, because I don't think Mage would be really a great lock-in for them. They did pick up MVQ as their fourth, so Demon Hunter Boomkin could be a possibility. But into the subtly rogue teams, it's unlikely, so it's not something I see them playing into Echo, but it could be something into the other teams. But I think there might just be ride or dying on Demon Hunter Death Knight, because that's what MVQ is specialized in. Mez is specialized in on Death Knight. It fits the bulletin there for them, so maybe we won't see it at all, but Samayam is the player I'm keeping an eye on as far as seeing this. Marksmanship Hunter is one that I actually think is really good. I think Frost Death Knight Marksman Hunter right now is actually a really strong comp, but I don't know if anybody really has it. It would be very alty. I think the only team that might pull it out might be Welcome to the Zhang, because they can just pull out anything. If they can play it and it is as good as I expect, then maybe we'll see it. So I'll put it on A tier. I think if there was a Hunter main focus team, that we would see it 100%. But there's no Hunter focus team, and there's so many other good options that people might not be dedicating to re-rolling to this. Beast Mastery Hunter, I think, isn't impossible to see either, but again, there's no Hunter focus team, so I'm going to go a little bit lower on it. Maybe Affliction's even down here, but I don't know if I want to go that low on it. Augmentation, actually is good and could actually counter the melee cleaves that are currently available, especially from Mez's team and maybe even possibly Kroto's team. But I don't know if anyone's really prepared it because it's just been kind of this niche pick that nobody really ever plays. But I don't think it's completely unlikely. And maybe Raiku's Frost Mage will actually work into a lot of the melee cleaves. Maybe I need to bump this up a little bit. Maybe I shouldn't underrank Frost too much. Maybe pull Affliction down a little bit. As far as viability, Demonology is a weird one because it doesn't work with a lot of melee. I actually don't think we'll see it, even though I think it's the strongest lock spec. So maybe I should pull this one down. I think Warlock in general is just, we're not going to really see it. But Mage could be a good counter melee. So maybe Frost is not completely counted out. And even Arcane could likely be good for that reason. Shadow Priest, this one I see Welcome to the Zhang really as probably the only team that's going to be focusing on it. With Prev playing Ellie or Shadow is my best estimation. And they're both really good. And I don't know which one he'll play. As far as like winning and taking the whole thing, do I want to bet my apples on Shadow with Prev? I think it could be a good shot. Although these melee cleaves, the Demon Hunter Death Knight comps, maybe it won't be. So I'll hold it back a little bit. I think that Shadow is likely going to be seen, but mostly only by one team. Dev Evoker, again, it could be good into these melee cleaves, but nobody really focuses on it in this tournament. So I think it's probably less likely. But it could be a viable option, just less likely due to the limitations of the player's class pool. Elemental Shaman, I think, is probably a safer pick for S tier for casters. Just well-rounded, really solid, can deal with all the situations that are going to be present in this tournament quite effectively, and just finding like the best melee that interchanges with it could be the name of the tournament for teams like Prev at least, and possibly even Lone Star's team. Ret Paladin, this is where we come into, right? Everybody says Ret's really good in solo shuffle, but in tournament, is it that good? We did see Welcome to the Zhang break out Ret Warrior and absolutely dominate everybody when they needed to utilize it. And I think they might do that into these Death Knight teams. So if Mez's team is running Death Knight Demon Hunter, they might run Ret Warrior into it. I don't know if it'll work, though, because Frost is a lot better than before. I'm going to put Ret on A tier for now and kind of hold some reservations for it. Warrior looks really good. I definitely think that some teams will experiment at least a game or two with it at some point. Mostly just because Mage is coming down in viability. Do I think the Fury Warrior is S tier? Again, there's so many variables. These guys could shift up or down one quite easily. I feel pretty confident at least putting Warrior on A tier, but I do think I'm leaning Demon Hunter more towards S tier for the time being, just because it's really well-rounded. It could deal with casters, really strong option. A lot of the teams can play it, so it's a little bit more likely, and obviously I think MVQ's team is going to probably, maybe this is all they're going to play. So we will likely see it. Do I think that they're going to go all the way with it? It's a possibility, right? Because RMP is not as good as it was before. Enhancement Shaman, I think, is really unlikely. Very few, like, I don't even know if Blizzard or ZPie are really playing this at all. And it's definitely not standing out enough that I think it's intriguing any interest in players. It doesn't really have like any sort of counterfeit to everything else that's going on. Unholy DK, I could definitely see being played possibly, but I think Frost DK is a little bit more likely. I think Frost DK is just definitely, I'm going to slide Ret over a bit as far as viability. I actually think Arms might be worse than Fury, but we'll see. Frost DK, I think, is going to be a go-to for a lot of teams. Survival Hunter, again, no one mains it. It's not really standing out enough that I think anyone's going to focus on it. Subtlety Rogue and Outlaw Rogue are the rogue specs that I anticipate to see. They just bring the most amount of control, although Outlaw is getting nerfed, so it's possible that Subtlety will be kind of more the go-to. I just don't know if it's going to work. It's weird. This is like the first time I'm under ranking RMP in a tournament, because usually it's just, this is the comp that absolutely dominates and destroys everybody. But I don't know with the nerfs that are coming in on Mage. Of course, you can just slot in another caster. But I don't know if it's going to work. I actually think Echo might have a hard tournament. Is this going to be like really strange to do? I feel like this might be strange to do, but I'm putting Subtlety Rogue on B tier. Assassination Rogue does remarkable damage, but it's also really squishy. I think like pretty unlikely we see it. I think it's really only going to be Waz if he plays it, and he's got like a buffet of options. Outlaw, even despite the nerfs, I think is maybe going to be the go-to if Waz wants to play it safe. So I'm going to put Outlaw probably like here on A tier, even though it's like really low, right? I ranked it really low for the ladder. The set bonuses, this is why I say everything has got a lot of variables, contingencies, right? Because you got set bonuses, they had to nerf that set bonus by a huge amount because it was so OP. And there could be other things that just get discovered on the spot that completely flip this list, which is going to make this tournament extremely unstable. Windwalker Monk, maybe we see some because there could be a lot of Death Knight. Definitely could be a solid option. You can see there's a lot of melee flexibility in this tournament. So I do think it's going to be A lot of melee and maybe like a couple Ellie shamans and maybe a couple of boomkins, and then maybe some type of frost mage or evoker thing to counter all the melee as the first adaptation. Feral Druid, I think a lot of people are actually not rating this one super high for this tournament. I think burst damage is quite high, especially on like Frost Death Knight, but that's a lot of experience on the ladder. We're getting stamina pools increased by 5%. I think it would be naive to give Feral too low of a ranking, so I'm going to put it on, top 3 of the A tier, maybe even better than Outlaw at the moment. I think Prev's team will likely be the team that focuses on Feral Druid. Maybe Was, depends how much practice he's put into it, depends how confident he is on Rogue. He doesn't have a lot of days to really decide on this, but yeah, those are the 2 players I think that are going to be switching between those. Maybe Blizz will play some Rogue as well. Holy Priest, I think it's probably what we'll see. JT is obviously like a main priest, but he's played Paladin as well. Paladin, I think, is probably the easier one, but I don't know if it's guaranteed. Healer is the hardest thing to decide on this, right? I'm gonna slot Holy Paladin up here. What's funny is this makes it look like Demon Hunter Ellie Holy Pally is the best comp, which I don't think is the case. This isn't necessarily that, because I think this is the best comp. If I were to do that, then I would need to. Maybe I should do like. This is hard. Maybe we need to like slot more classes up here. In order to balance this out, because then I just feel like I have too many up there now. Because I don't think, I think it's like this could be a good combo. I think Ellie Holy Pally X could be a good combo. I could see Holy Pally Warrior X being a good combo. This isn't necessarily like these comps are the best. It's just these specs individually. What combination? I think these are like the specs that you could base a comp around in this tournament with the teams that are currently available. Holy Priest definitely is at least A tier, I think, and we'll see it from Echo likely. Disc Priest, I don't know, bro. I don't even like this first one that I'm completely just dumbfounded on where to put it. It's getting a lot of mana nerfs, and again, in tournament setting, you need mana. It's a big issue. So I will say that I think it's probably lower, but if anyone plays it, it'll probably be JT. Mistweaver is also a bit of a wild card because I know a lot of people are playing Fistweaver. And if Mage isn't as strong and no one plays Hunter in this tournament, I think Mistweaver could have a shot. I think if Lone Tower's been prepping it at all, I don't know if Seedu's been prepping it at all, but yeah, if Hunter and Mage are like the main reasons Mistweaver's not viable. So if Mage gets nerfed to the ground, or you have a comp that can kind of deal with it, it could definitely rise to the occasion. So I don't want to rank it too low. But not a lot of players, I would say like dedicating their time to Mistweaver, and they don't have a lot of time to dedicate. So I don't know if they're just going to play their main spec, kind of run with it. If it's just terrible, then they'll switch out on the spot or what. But it's definitely going to make things interesting because of that. Preservation Evoker, I think it's probably slim. I don't think Seedu has been playing much of it, and Mez not going to the tournament. So I would say I think Prez is probably pretty low chance of seeing it. Shaman probably has like a decent shot of being played at least by Seedu. Will it win though? I don't know. So I'm going to give it a little bit lower of a ranking. Resto Druid, I anticipate Lone Tar to play this, and maybe Shaman depending on what's good. Do I think it can go all the way? I'm not too certain. I'm going to kind of put it here, I think, on B tier for now. Tanks, I'm not anticipating anything. If there is, it would be Mez that plays something, but I'm really not anticipating. I think that unless for some reason the Death Knight nerfs. The other thing too is they're going to be traveling, so there's class nerfs coming in. They're like preparing their classes right now, and then they're going to be in full gear, and they're probably not going to get to play almost at all before getting to that point. So I think the tournament's going to be awesome because of that. So players will probably like stick to their mains, and we're not going to see everyone fought and re-rolling right away and playing like one comp only, which should be very exciting. There are definitely some underperformers, and I do think like Warlock meta is probably not there, and there's just better versions of these specs that perform their role. These guys maybe we see, but I do think like this kind of like upper side, this interchanging these guys a lot is likely what we're going to be seeing from the competition, or at least what we're going to see winning from the competition. But I hope you guys enjoyed the discussion. I will see you guys there. I believe that it's Thursday, and the tournament starts at 10 a.m. German time, which is like 1 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So, but it goes the whole day. So if you wake up at like 8 or 9 Pacific Standard Time, you probably catch the finals. So that's the schedule. You might have to watch the VOD. It's going to be streamed on the regular platforms, as always, the Warcraft platforms. But thank you guys very much for watching the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the discussion. We're going to keep relaying news and updates to you. I believe that I have a time slot to stream from there as well, but it might be only on Twitch. I'm not sure how multi-streaming will work from there. I got to sort all that stuff out. There's a lot of stuff I got to do, but I wanted to make this video before I left, so I'm not just completely leaving you guys ghosted, because it might be some dry bits of content over the next couple of days while I'm gone. So I appreciate the support as always. Thank you guys very much, and I will see you in the next one.